local television network, TSPN. And now back to...
Hi, welcome back to the third segment of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. And I am still your hostess, Kathy Boyd Fellure. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Clark's Corner in Ione before we get going. There is a community hub there that is more than a coffee shop. A lot of people think it's just a coffee shop, but it is not. It has a platform stage with theatrical curtains, and my group actually does an annual literary read there, which is our contribution back to the community with a musician and an art show. So you can, we have critique groups there. You can get lunch there. Friday's prime rib dinner, and the chef Chris makes something special every Thursday. A knitting club meets there. They have a banquet room in the back and a gorgeous patio for the spring, which we prefer doing our critiquing out there if it's nice weather. So give them a little look-see. Can't miss it. Bright yellow building. Mr. Clark in his little top hat and mustache greets you. And it's only a 3-block town, so if you miss them the first time, just hang a U-ey and go right back and you're right there. So now we're going to get back into a little bit more of the writers and authors who are talking about. Susie's going to talk to you about her books that she brought.
The newest one that just came out is called Miracle on Voodoo Mountain. And my name's not on this one, but I did actually write it. I was kind of a ghostwriter. And it's about a 23-year-old girl who moved to Haiti, sold everything that she had. She had no sponsors and no organization. And she started rescuing children out of slavery. They have a system of slavery there, and the children are called rustivex. And they don't go to school, they sleep on the floor, and they're just treated horribly. So she started rescuing these children. She actually ended up as part of an international sting operation for a corrupt orphanage there that was trafficking children. And she helped to close it down, and it's full of miracles. And she ended up building a school for 500 of these children on the top of these voodoo ceremonial grounds. Oh, wow. And so I got to go to Haiti in January and meet her and see what was going on there. And it was very scary. I mean, Haiti is a very intense place. I mean, no water, no power. You know, if you drive on the streets, you're taking your life in your hands, and all kinds of diseases. They still have cholera there and typhoid fever and things like that. But it was one of those moments where you can feel God at work in very incredible ways. So that was the newest one. And then in November, that just came out in January. November, I had one come out called The Unbreakable Boy, and it's a father-son memoir. So I got to interview Scott Lorette and spend a lot of time with him and his son Austin. Austin's a very unusual boy. He has brittle bone disease. He's broken almost every bone in his body. He's autistic, and he has heart defects. And he's like the most joyful person you would ever want to meet. And the cool thing is he's now in college and studying to be a chef.
Oh, wow. What
it's amazing. And then my big book was called Thunderdog. The reason I get a lot of cool stories now is because I had one that sold well. And it's about a blind man who was in the World Trade Center on 9/11 with his guide dog, Roselle, and his adventures and everything that happened that day and how God saved his life through his dog.
How did you find out about him? Did he come to you, or did you know his story?
No, I discovered him. I mean, he was already kind of semi-famous. He had told his story, been on Larry King 5 times. You know, he's just an amazing guy. But I was writing a book of dog stories called Dog Tales. And so his story was one of those stories. And when he told me that story, I interviewed him on the phone. Literally, the hair on my arm stood up. And I just thought, you know, this is something. I just had that feeling. And then I realized the next year was the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. And that gives you kind of the marketing hook to be able to get the, you know, the contract to be able to write it.
And there was a great deal of interest in that book. Still is.
Yeah, it was a bestseller when it first came out. So, and what surprised us is that children read it. Because it's not a children's book.
Wow.
But it's kind of a safe story, a safe way to learn about 9/11. With a happy ending, and you know, some great things to learn about blindness and guide dogs and things like that. So.
How did you find that out? Through fand, you know?
Yeah, I've gotten asked to speak at schools.
How wonderful.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like grade school. It's amazing. So.
I know, and my friend Karen wants a copy. So, I have to remember that. And then I'm curious about the boy with the brittle bone disease. Same thing. How did you find out about him?
So I was contacted by the man's agent who's in New York, and somehow she found me and just called me out of the blue, and then I was interviewed. A lot of these projects I kind of get interviewed for, and I didn't hear from them for about 3 months, and then I think they had started working with another writer. It didn't work out, and so came to me.
And the same question for your book, your last book that just came out.
The Haiti book?
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, the editor contacted me. Her name's Debbie Wickwire, and she's the one who did Heaven is for Real.
Okay.
And so I thought I want to work with her before I even heard the story. So.
I have to ask you, could you feel the spiritual warfare when you were there?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
Very intense place. We went with a lot of prayer beforehand, a lot of preparation. We did a lot of prayer and preparation there. I took 2 friends with me because I didn't want to go by myself.
That was wise.
Yeah, and one of my friends, her daughter got very ill while we were there. Yeah. And then on our way back, we actually took a day in Miami, which was fun because it's Miami. But we just prayed and talked and debriefed, you know, because it's like no other place I've ever been. I've been to Cuba on a mission trip, and it makes Cuba look like Disneyland.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just trash in the streets, and, you know, you just see everything under the sun there.
Up close.
Yeah.
That kind of brings me to both of you, because you've talked a lot about prayer, too. Obviously, we all cover everything we write in prayer first, and when people come to you, that's answered prayer. You knew when the lady said something to you, and you spent a season in prayer and fasting, you said. I caught that. So I'm just wondering, I would, from the Christian aspect of it, like to know how important that pre-praying, praying during, and praying after, and the fasting. Because I fast and pray too. Before you came on the show, you were prayed over, before you were asked. You know, whether you say yes or no, that's between you and God. And I can't imagine doing anything without it. I know a lot of writers that don't, but for me, I don't know any other way. So like right now, you have another book you're working on, and as we always all will, you say these are the annual Inspire books. And so I've been asked a lot after my shows when people contact me, because I always talk about prayer, so that this can give them an opportunity to have a deeper insight from you. For me, going to Haiti, so wise, taking others and having a prayer team, and also the praying while you're there. Reminds me of the Billy Graham Crusades, the pre, the during, down in the basement, and then the after.
Yeah, my friends were praying for me as I was interviewing people and having conversations with people that were going to be in the book. My friends were praying, so.
That's big backup.
Important.
Yeah, very big backup. Well, I'd like to ask you each all where you're going from there, Michelle. What's next?
Next is finishing edits on the little novella that I have ready to go and getting it, learning all the formatting and all the hoops and the tricks to go through. My sister is considering doing the book cover for me and launching out on her own business going that way, so we're going to try that and see how that goes. And then I want to do the Bible curriculum and then my trilogy and my fantasy. So
it's a fantasy trilogy?
Yeah.
And is that the one you're in book 1?
No, that one is all completed, and then I'm currently critiquing a complete fantasy different one with my group. So
since you guys work together, you obviously pray for each other too. And you have Lori and Jane?
Yep, Jane Daly and Laurie Sinclair.
Our core, and then we're starting to branch out. We're getting a couple other people who are starting to join us. So your friend Judy is supposed to come join us next week. Yes.
It's a good group.
I always say, because I lead the group, when people ask, what's your group like? I said, well, we take writing very seriously. We do not take each other seriously at all. So we spend most of our time laughing hysterically at the silly things that, words that show up in our things that are homophones and make the sentence completely ridiculous. And
I tell my friend Judy, you're the fun group.
We are.
We are the fun group.
You will have fun. Don't worry about anything. Just go and try them out. What about you? Are you in a critique group?
Yeah, it's actually in Castro Valley.
Is it?
So I drive 2.5 hours to my critique group, and it's in
How
the
often?
evening. It's once a month.
Wow.
And then I drive home after.
Wow.
But I love them, so I can't leave them.
Yes.
I can relate. One of our group just moved back to Sweden. It's a long way to go.
That is a long way.
But I would do it if I could. 'Cause
Add him at the Skype.
yeah, we tried that. He's real good at it. The rest of us not so. But a critique group is really important.
Absolutely. I don't think I'd be writing without a group and without critique partners.
Yeah.
My first book I wrote with one of my best friends. We were co-writers, co-authors. I believe collaboration is very important too.
What about research? I mean, you obviously, all of your books required research. It's for a writer to be taken seriously, we have to have impeccable research.
Yeah, I have a crate for each book.
Do you?
Yeah, full of books and research and all of that. And the research is much more fun than the writing, in my opinion.
It always frustrates me because I do a ton of medieval research because I get that medieval feel in there and then I can't put half of it in. Have to dump it out because it's just extraneous information. But I love it. It's cool. It's the history teacher in me.
You will always have fun with it, huh? Yeah. Between prayer and research and critique groups, I'm also wondering, you said you meet yours once a month. How often do you guys meet?
We meet twice a month, Tuesday nights, the first and third Tuesdays. We meet in my classroom in Capital
And
Christian.
do you guys take the manuscript, read aloud, hand it back the same night, or do you send in advance?
We send on the Saturday in advance, and our group is totally tech. So we email it ahead of time. We make track changes on our devices.
Online.
We bring our devices that night and scroll through it and email back. We do no paper.
And
at
now,
all.
Mary, you do that.
Yes, it wasn't easy, Kathy.
It was pulling teeth with her, but yes.
Exactly. Oh, no, my critique group has dragged me kicking and screaming into the new century.
She has a web page.
Oh.
We got her on Facebook.
Well, I want to hear more about this when we come back, because I write from longhand too. So if you'd like to hear a little bit more about the different ways writers approach the new changing writing world, give us a call.
Television Network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
And welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the January 2015 show. I am really happy you joined us and met some new people. You may have read Susy's book. She's probably been out there the most above all the rest of us here. But I'm sure the new faces are real happy and perky for you, and you'll remember their books. I'm going to ask for them to share websites first so I don't leave the air without you getting that really important information. Susie?
So if you're a writer or you want to be a writer, we'd love to have you come to the West Coast Christian Writers Conference, and our website is westcoastchristianwriters.com. And I have a coupon code for you if you want to get $10 off of registration, which is already really low. It's only $149, but
Which is low.
for $10 off, you can do Kathy10, K-A-T-H-I, number 10, and then it'll get you $10 off.
Ooh, it's always good to save money. And can you recommend, because they're spending Friday night, nearby hotels that are reasonable?
Yeah, check our website. We have a list of hotels.
Yay. And then for people that really want to write but are scared to death, how can you assure them here this is a safe place?
It's friendly. There's no pressure.
Perfect.
You can come and sit in the back row and not talk to anybody. We hope that you do, and we will feed you coffee and snacks and try to get you very comfortable. And I would love to meet every person that comes. Everybody who calls me or sends an email to the website, I say, come up and introduce yourself. I want to meet you.
Well, that is very personal, so please consider it. It's not, big conferences are wonderful too. We've all been to them, but I honestly think the smaller ones help. Help you get over the fear factor that is very real. A lot of writers are introverts. Some of them are introvert extroverts, and when you try that first conference, you find that maybe a little bit of extrovert in you. So.
And you need to find your tribe. You need to find your peeps.
Yes. Tell them what you mean by tribe and peeps, because that's normal lingo for us.
Because you can't find a writer on every corner.
That's right.
We're kind of far-flung, and you have to go to these places and find your writers.
And be with your own kind.
Exactly.
It's the truth.
Find people who speak your language.
That's right. And they do.
Who care about homophones. You know what a homophone is.
See how non-threatening we are? Just want to be like one of us, right? Okay, I'm going to go to Michelle again and ask if you would share your website.
My business website, which will connect you to fiction and nonfiction from there, is strongtowerpress.com.
strongtowerpress.com. And are you taking, are there openings in your group?
Well, with the 2 new people, we'll see if we can squeeze in more from that, but with the 2 that we have now, we might be full, so we'll see.
Okay, and do you have any websites, or?
MaryAallen.com.
And spell Allen.
ALLEN.
E-N, not A-N.
Right.
Okay, so you have some new opportunities there for networking, and especially the conference is an adventure. And you know what? I think of Joy here, she's mentioned. Some people are intimidated. I was the first time I went. But there is joy in the middle of facing your fears and stepping out there, as we say, out of your comfort zone, and just putting yourself out there and finding out what's, you know, what you're made of, the stories in your head, because all those little characters are talking to us all the time, okay? And when you go to these conferences, that's oh so normal, because sometimes, you know, they talk back too. So I think that can't encourage you enough to try this. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and even if you're here in Amador County, it's not that far to go, and you can contact me through the station. There's a lot of people that are going to try it out, and you can set up a carpool. So, you know, you can give that a try too. Right, Sue? They can just contact lovely Sue here at the station, and she can always let me know who you are. So we're going to wind down. We have a few minutes left with you, and I'm going to ask you to, you can talk about whatever you want, but what is the book of your heart and dreams that you haven't written yet?
I'm working on a horse book right now, and I'm really excited about it. It's the craziest book. The horse is named Metro. It's a true story. He's a crippled racehorse, an ex-racehorse, and he paints pictures. He holds a paintbrush in his mouth, and he paints these beautiful abstracts. His owner's an artist. And what I'm really excited about is not only getting to work with Metro, but we're going to skewer the horse racing industry. Sorry for anybody who loves horse racing, but they destroy these horses. They race them very young. They break their legs down, and I own a retired racehorse as well. So this is something really near and dear to my heart.
I remember from that movie, Secretariat, remember the jockey, one horse's heart burst in his chest from being pressed so.
And it's greed, you know. I mean, there are people who love their horses, who treat them very well, but there are greedy people who just use and toss these horses aside, so it's really sad.
There's 2 sides to every story. Wonderful book. For horse. My daughter's a horse lover, so. What about you guys? What are you thinking about?
I'm currently working on a novel about a runaway, and whose mother was a runaway, whose grandmother was a runaway. And I'm really excited to be writing it because this one, I thought I was a seat-of-the-pants writer, but the fact is I just knew the story because I lived it. Now I've come to realize that I actually need my little outline. So I've started outlining it. But I'm very excited about this new book that I'm writing. And I'm excited about the storyline and the message of forgiveness. So.
Wow, forgiveness, very important.
Yeah.
For all of us. Michelle.
I've written my love book. That was the 3rd one in my trilogy, Hidden Under His Hands. But my passion now is to find a way to be a full-time writer. I have enjoyed teaching in the classroom, but I'm ready to stay at home in my sweats and just write story after story after story because I have a bazillion of them running in my head and I can't keep up with all of them with my schedule.
Let me tell you, you're between 2 dogs. Okay? You can't move to the right or the left at your desk because they're on each side of your chair and they're on your feet because they love you so much.
Mine sits behind me.
Oh, okay.
I have a little tiny Chiweenie, and she has to sit behind me because she has to be that close.
A little's good. Mine are big. There's a lovely, and being in your sweats is nice. My office is in my home. Is yours in your home?
Yeah, I have a pink bathrobe. And old Uggs boots that are all ripped up.
The true life of a writer.
The glamour.
Yeah, such glamour, huh? Well, I hope you get to do that. I would be sad for the kids because a good teacher is hard to find these days. Not that there aren't good teachers, it's just that a lot of them are leaving the profession, sadly. My dad was a teacher. I never had him as a teacher, but greatly respect the profession. And it would be sad for the kids, but I think sweat and you just into town all the time. Are you an electronic person?
I am. And I'm not a morning person, which is a little difficult for school. My brain doesn't really start fully functioning till, good 8 o'clock, and by then I'm already at school and I'm supposed to be doing stuff.
Oh,
So.
wow.
Yeah, so.
Do you think there's a possibility that could happen for you pretty soon?
Not pretty soon. Maybe down the road once I get I've got at least 4 that are ready to go now as soon as they're edited and polished. So. So.
And I like to ask you before we end, because it's such a daily changing publishing world, self, indie, or traditional? Because are you a hybrid?
I am going to be hybrid. Metro Story is going to be self-published, and I've assisted with self-publishing. And my agent recommends that all of his authors be hybrid authors. He told us to do that, which is unusual for an agent to say.
Wow, I know it's changing.
It is.
Because my agent took me, and my children's books were not traditionally published. And then I went the traditional way with my agent. So I'm a hybrid. What about you guys?
I haven't decided which way I'm going with my second novel. I self-published the first one, and I'm going to keep an open mind for the second one. Yeah.
And I'm an indie publisher.
You're an indie publisher.
I'm going to do it all myself.
You can do it all yourself. I have to tell you, that is the one thing that changes the most daily, because I try to keep track, because I speak a lot on the changing industry and marketing, and it is a constant whirlwind of change that before we close, I have a couple minutes. How do you feel about that? Because especially you coming out of where you've come, I kind of like the change.
I love it. I think there are more ways to get published than ever before. You hear a lot of naysayers and people who are fearful and worried, and you can have a blog. You can create your own books easily. You can create your own magazines. You can do anything.
Yeah.
You can create book trailers on your iPad. You can create movies yourself.
Yes.
And so writers kind of have no excuse.
It's true.
Yeah, not to be published. You can do it.
In today's world, it's open for, and there's a lot of help to do it, like conferences like this that get you on the track of what you don't know, you can find out. Yeah, I know the traditional way from before is not coming back. I was asked that, would you please say on your show? And I said, I'm going to tell you, we are not ever going back to the way it was. You just have to learn to accept that and move forward. There's a forward movement in a different, changing world that isn't so much scary as it is different, I think. So, and I'm going to kind of wind down here, thanking you for coming. I'm thrilled you guys, you had a great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I hope that those of you out there will consider conferences that are being offered to you. And we're all in critique groups. I wouldn't want to do it without a critique group because they help me catch myself. They help us get beyond our little bubble we live in anyway. And a good critique group is worth its weight in gold, definitely. So is a good conference, so is a good workshop. And if you are hesitant to get out there, the title of the show, Sue helped finish it, Authors, Writers, Books and Beyond, was a great bookstore we had here in town, just down the street here on Main Street. And I'm a book lover. I will always be a book lover. I prefer to hold print in my hand. I prefer a hard copy when I critique, but we're all electronic. So pick what you like and go forward. We would all like to encourage you, and you encourage us when you read. So thank you for being our wonderful readers also, because we don't have a job without you. And you can always let us know what you'd like to read next, too. So Michelle and Susie and Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Kathy.
guys. See you later.
You're watching your local television network.